we got to talk a little bit about this Western Conference. The Nuggets went on an 8-game win streak recently, although the Celtics broke that streak.
Yeah,
the
man.
Lakers, though, a lot of people were saying the Lakers are donezo. Everything is done. LeBron and AD out, as you could imagine. People would assume that. But the Lakers was about that action. And when they beat the Nets the other night, the Jazz still have the best record in the league, but the Suns are looking hot, as we would assume any Chris Paul team with talent will. But how do you see the West playing out? Because it's crazy right now over there.
It looks like it's a blender to me. So like the Lakers have it's been shaky since LeBron has been out, AD also out, and yet their defense has remained very stout, best defensive team in the league. They are scrappy. They come at you all the time, and they never stop playing. And now you've got the reinforcements coming, right? You can see it. You know the daylight is coming. AD's coming. LeBron is coming.
He's sending out cryptic messages, letting us know it's on the way.
It's on the way. And so Lakers are sitting at, the 5 right now. So it'd be the Nuggets versus the Lakers. And that's just a bloodbath. Let me go through this. So the Jazz are right now sitting atop the conference, followed by the Phoenix Suns, the Clippers, the Nuggets, who are making a push after the Aaron Gordon trade. As you mentioned, they went on a nice run and then recently lost, went dead cold at second half versus Celtics over the weekend. The Lakers, who nobody wants to play at any spot anywhere in the playoffs. The Trailblazers, absolutely dangerous. Now we get into the play-in area. Dallas Mavericks at 7, Grizzlies at 8, Spurs at 9, and Golden State Warriors at 10. None of these teams down here at the play-in would I want to play if I'm the Utah Jazz.
No. Imagine
I don't want to
Steph
see
Curry
any
in
of
the
them.
playoffs.
I don't want to see it.
I don't care if Golden State is 10, 15, 25. Imagine Steph Curry in the playoffs.
No, so the Jazz are, again, by the advanced metrics, they are like a historically good team. They're averaging 50 points a game on threes, which is super important for them because of the way they're structured. And congratulations to the Utah Jazz on a historic season. You may have to play Steph Curry and the Golden State Warriors in round 1. Congratulations. Like, that could happen. And yes,
Yikes.
The Warriors have gone through a losing streak of their own. James Wiseman probably done for the season now with meniscus tear. But I don't want to see Steph Curry in the first round under any circumstances at all, ever.
None. And like, I'm going to ask you so that I'm not saying it, but do we believe the Utah Jazz? And what I mean by that is, like,
I know exactly what you mean.
You know exactly what I mean. So Jason, because first of all, I always get scared of teams who a lot of their points come from shooting. And I know, just so people, I understand the NBA metrics and analytics, but we've seen what happened to the Houston Rockets. If you have if you go cold, if you don't make shots when it matters, when a lot of your points, I mean, we're talking 50 points per game. If 50 points alone are from the 3-point line, to me, that's scary. Like, I need reassurance that if we're not making shots, we're still a highly effective team. Do we believe the Jazz? Like, in the playoffs, are they going to the end of your bracket? They're the number 1 seed. Are you going to put them to the end of your, like, how is that looking?
Two things. I believe that they are a very, very good team, and I believe that they are a contender. I don't believe that in many of these matchups, right, that they would have, let's say, Jazz, let's say it's Jazz Warriors first round. They don't have the best player on the floor in that series. Okay. Jazz Dallas. I don't think they have the best player on the floor in that series. And that is kind of the issue for them. Listen, I think that they play a very particular style.
Donovan Mitchell hears this. Woo!
Well, listen,
you saw what happened when Shaq said something.
I mean, I think Donovan Mitchell is really good. I think the chemistry that he has with Gobert is incredibly important. I think that they're getting great shooting and contributions from Bogdanovich. Royce O'Neal has done like yeoman's work. Joe Ingles is solid. Jordan Clarkson, arguably the best bench player in the league, best bench scorer in the league, found his niche finally in the NBA. I just think that for one, they play a very particular defensive style that does not really allow them to switch. Okay, so what happens when they start playing these kind of like teams that are going to demand that they switch? That's going to be interesting. Let's see what happens there. And then I think, too, their second best player, Rudy Gobert, some would say their first, their most important player, some would say, you just can't count on him offensively at all, particularly down the stretch. Like, that's not where you're getting your scoring. It's going to be Donovan Mitchell, right? And hopefully you get contributions from Connolly and Bogdanovich and others. But to your point, let's say they go dry. Okay, which happens in the playoffs because that's what happens.
They shoot 43 threes a game, and they shoot like 20% clip.
Yes, teams know that, and they will work to take away those threes. Okay, Gobert, they're not throwing it to you right in the last 5 minutes of a close game. Donovan Mitchell, what can you do? That's what happens at that point. It's Donovan Mitchell's game, and can he be the guy that wins them games at that point? I think he can, but I also think it's a question mark. I just think that when you get, I think it's a little bit of a question mark. And I also think that part of this perception is the fact that, one, it's Utah and we've never really seen them, it's been 1998 since they were like a real contender for the finals. And so a part of this is we haven't seen it. And then a part of this is like, they're Mitchell is untested, I think, as that guy, still a little bit untested. So it's a little bit, we haven't seen it.
So the
all
question
of which is
really
to say is I don't fully believe in them. I don't, because listen, the LeBron and AD, it's like that's a finals appearance every time, right? So
yeah, it's
just
tough.
Don't know
That's
if
why
I believe
asked it. Because even take a number 4 team of the Nuggets. I mean, they have a Jamal Murray, Aaron Gordon, Nikolai Jokic. Like, they have Will Barton, Michael Porter Jr. They have firepower, and so yeah, I think the real question. That's why it's like the Utah Jazz have shown us nothing but that we should believe it. But it's just that everyone. I mean, when you win 22 straight home games, like, we should believe it, but I understand that not all of us, we don't all necessarily believe it. So it's going to be interesting. Teams like that is going to be interesting.
How about the Suns? First of all, I'm just really happy for Suns fans. It has been a really rough few years here in the post-Nash years. Devin Booker, obviously one of the brightest lights, young stars in the league. I can't believe he's like, what is he, 24, I think, or just turned 20, about to turn 25. Like, he is so young and so good. And now with Chris Paul adding that really veteran, I can get to my spot, I know how to call a basketball game and how to dictate flow at any time kind of expertise. Now the Suns are surging 37-15. They're 18-6 against teams with winning records, which is best in the NBA. Now they had the easiest schedule in the NBA through week 15, but like they're a good team. And they're sitting at number 2, which would have them play maybe Dallas. And yet again, here you go again. It's another bloodbath. Let me ask you this. Let's say it's Suns-Dallas. Based on that matchup, are the Suns more likely to get to the Western Conference Finals or lose in the first round?
They're likely to get there. I believe the Suns can beat a Dallas Mavericks team. I mean, honestly, we played a Suns team, and with us being, when I say we, I told you guys at the top of this, I'm all Hawks all the time. But when we played Phoenix, we lost to them 117-110, and I believe that was a very winnable game. Like, I know that I know all players are probably like, oh yeah, well, Phoenix didn't shoot well, but we executed our scouting report, and I felt like we could have beaten them. So having said that, still, I think they're a beatable team, but I think that they, like, against a team like Dallas, I think they match up better than a team like us. Honestly, I think that they're one of the teams to like. They're scarier to me than Utah Jazz. Just off rip. I know they're the number.
I love this take.
Yeah,
tell me why.
Because first of all, you got Chris Paul, who knows, and a lot of people are going to say, well, does he really know how to win if he's never won? Yes, he knows what winning looks like. He's, as most people talk about, he's probably one of the best leaders in the NBA. So whenever you have a guy like that in your foxhole, you're already one up. Then you got a Devin Booker, who everyone for years and years and years have talked about how Phoenix Suns have been underachievers. Like, man, all that talent over there, why can't they win? And so he hears that. He wants to be a part of a good one. I think they have the weapons. Like, just when you look at their roster, they have the right weapons that when you match them up against whoever, you can see, I can see how they could compete. Some teams I just don't, I don't believe it. And so, but the Suns, I think that them as well as the Clips and the Lakers, I mean, they're just not teams you want to see. I believe Portland, but I also believe that Portland doesn't have enough firepower. So I think that at a certain point, it's too much on Dame, much on CJ.
I agree with you. Clippers are really interesting to me because it's like I feel like they're just kind of like sneaking under the radar.
Yeah.
There's so much talk about the Jazz. Obviously, as long as LeBron James is in the NBA, he will be the headline of almost every story, right? So like what's going on with the Lakers is a big story. But the Clippers are 37-18. Yeah. Okay. Paul George is struggling a little bit, but they're putting it together. I don't know. They've got a ton of experienced guys. Patrick Beverley will clamp you down and maybe injure your ankle.
Yeah, but Kawhi Leonard, out for a month. He's out for a month with a broken hand.
But we expect him back. Kawhi Leonard, obviously one of the best two-way players legitimately in history. Paul George as well. And they have Ibaka now that gives them a kind of like a different look on the inside, a more veteran look, knows what he can do, physical, knows his spots, can hit that mid-range jumper. And yet, 37-18, I ask you the question that you asked me about the Utah Jazz. Do you believe in the LA Clippers?
Woo! I believe that a team with a combined 748 playoff games, I have to believe them. Now, do I believe that same team can stay healthy? That I don't know.
Right,
I think that a healthy Clippers team, and obviously we can say this about everyone, but the Clippers even right now, Patrick Beverley, he struggles to stay healthy, but anybody that plays that all out, they might get hurt. Paul George just hurt a toe. Kawhi, we know he's been Mr. Load Management for a lot of years. So
it's an issue.
I believe a fully loaded Clippers team. I believe that they got embarrassed last year when they got knocked out. And I think that will fuel them this year. And I think they have the talent level, and I think they have the wherewithal to do it. Kawhi Leonard has done it with the Spurs and then went to the Raptors and led them to do it and then was like, all right, I'm out. Peace. So, I believe them.
They unquestionably have the talent, right? Unquestionably, they have the talent and the experience. For me, it's always like, what's the other shoe? What is the weird thing that's going to happen? When they lost after being up 3-1 in the playoffs last year, it was like it felt like something was missing and something was wrong, something chemistry-wise, something, whether it's their relationship to each other. And then, of course, numerous stories came out since then about problems in the locker room and star treatment of Kawhi in relation to the rest of the team.
Kawhi wasn't practicing. He said he pulled an Allen Iverson. He said, "Listen, I'm gonna give you these buckets in the game. I'm gonna give you these low management, and you're gonna take it."
That's right.
That's what happened. Just so in case people didn't know, but they've cleared it up since then, I think.
Here's the other thing that this is not part of the conversation, but something that I think about all the time. Man, Kawhi lives in San Diego. He lives and he somehow, I don't know if he takes a helicopter or what, or has a driver, but then he commutes to LA to play the games. Man, that's in the best traffic conditions, that's like a 95-minute drive.
No, Jason. There's no way you're telling me this. He has to have an apartment in L. Like, there's no way.
He's got to have one. But, like, he's also, like, a weird, he's in iconoclast, so it's interesting to see. I need to see it with the Clippers. As Charles Barkley said last week, quote, I've been poor, I've been rich, I've been fat, I've been skinny, I've been old, I've been in the Hall of Fame, and one thing I can always tell you, the Clippers have always sucked. That is not exactly... That's not exactly true. The Clippers have had moments of relevance, and they are relevant right now.
God.
But I think it does speak to the fact that the Clippers have always found a way to somehow disappoint, which is not even to say to make it to the finals or win the finals, just disappoint. At number 4, we have the Nuggets, 34-19, 12-3 in their last game. They won in their last 15 games. Jokic is gonna win the MVP at this point. The numbers are insane. For March, 27, 11, 8 and we'll call it 8.5, 58% field goal percentage. And it's like, man, Aaron Gordon and Jokic together are a plus 32. Aaron Gordon has discovered the thing that Jamal Murray, that other Nuggets players have discovered, which is, if I just cut to the basket, this guy's going to hit me with a pass. I'm going to score.
Aaron Gordon was
really
the perfect addition to this team, because the way Aaron Gordon played already, like, you knew when you added him to that motion offense that the Nuggets, you got the Joker, that he's dropping dimes left and right. I mean, he's clearly he's a great passer for any position, but when you talk big men, obviously he's at the top of the list for a lot of the list. He's historic. Top 5. So when you add a great cutter like Aaron Gordon, who can also shoot, played in that Houston Rockets, that layup or three style, you knew it was going to be just gasoline already onto a team that was on fire. So, I mean, and then you look at the Lakers. Like, I believe a lot of teams. Let me just say that. I believe a lot of teams. But when you talk about the number 5 Lakers team, I think it's pretty understood that we don't care what happens. I don't care how many games they lose. The worst offense in the league since LeBron James went down.
Doesn't matter.
We don't care any of it. When we talk about playoff runs, we know that you got to get, like, the Lakers are in the conversation. Like, that's what's so crazy about all these other, like, we're breaking down the Clippers, the Nuggets. Do we believe them? The Jazz. I don't care what the Lakers do. We believe you, because you got LeBron James and then AD. We believe them.
And, man, if this holds, again, congratulations to the Nuggets, 34-19. Jokic has dragged them largely to this record. Will win the MVP. Is, to contrast him with Gobert, is the big man that you can throw the ball in the final minutes and trust him to either get a bucket or find someone who will get them a bucket or get fouled in some way. Although he's, I think, only shooting like 5 free throw attempts, which I think is an issue for is something that Nuggets fans and the team is annoyed about. But man, congratulations on a great season. Now you got to play the Lakers in the first round. That sucks.
That's tough.